All right, so let's dig in a little bit. So we got this insane beat, which I'm digging. So for tonight, let's start with the beat, okay? So the first thing I always do when I mix in a track is I'm just gonna listen for a little bit, get a feel for what the original intention of the song is, and then we're going to try to make adjustments so that it's going to sound the best possible for the intended audience, right? So if it's earbuds, on a phone, in a car, in a club, all that stuff we got to take into consideration, okay? All right, so let's listen to the beat, try to identify something that might or could possibly be problematic. Okay, so some things I'm hearing right away that I think we need to think about a little bit is there seems to be it seems to be very weighted in the high frequency region. So like those hi-hats, the vocal chops, and then we have some sub bass, and then we're missing some of these low mids in like the upper bass region, like 100 to 300 hertz. Where there's warmth. The beat feels really cold to me. And that might have been intentional from the producer, because sometimes when you're writing a beat that's intended for someone to rap on top of it, you want to not fill the entire frequency range with stuff, right? We want the vocal to fit in where there's, that warmth region. Okay, that's going to help balance everything out, and it's going to make the vocals more clear to hear. So, but I still think we need to do some things to control that, because when we start mastering this and start bringing up the volume, we might run into some problems with that high end getting too harsh, okay? So, and kind of crowding the vocals. So let's go back to the beat and just see what I did. So I actually did something. I don't ever use this plugin, but I felt like it would work for this circumstance. And this is a plugin called Trackspacer. Oh shoot, I don't think you guys can even see this. I might need to, let me see if you guys can't even see my Trackspacer. All right, hold up. I can fix this. I'm just going to I just need to capture the entire window, and then I think we're going to be good. Yeah, do the whole display. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to switch over right now. I think we're already switched over. Okay, let me see if you can guys see. There it is. Okay, cool. Here's Trackspacer. This thing is a pretty cool plugin. Basically what it does is you feed it the vocals, and it will analyze the frequencies of the vocals. And when you have that, it will it'll subtract that out from whatever track it's on. So you can literally just take away the vocals. I'm gonna have to, sorry, because I have it overwriting the original video. I have to just do it back and forth like this. But basically, this track will subtract out all the vocal frequencies in real time from the beat. So it helps to like automatically dig a little space for it in the beat. And then when there's no vocals, it lets all the frequencies back in. So it's super transparent, okay? It's pretty amazing. So first thing that I like to do is, so you feed the sidechain with the vocals. So let me just do that. Basically, you just set up a send here, and we send all the signal going to my vocal bus to this plugin, okay? So when we hit play, here are the vocals. And we can adjust the high and low frequencies to just kind of dial in a range that isn't going to affect the beat too much. So for instance, if we have too much low end being sucked out of the beat, okay, like if we leave this totally open, it might take too much of the warmth away from the beat. So you can push this up so that you keep the warmth in the beat. And then likewise, if you want to keep the high frequencies in the beat, you can just dial this back a little bit. So I had it set up. Let me just go back to the original setting I had. Just kidding. I'm going to have to redial it in.
Spend more time with you, that quiet time with you, and I'm alone with you is what you proclaim true. Because of you is why I'm even in existence. For 1 minute was distance, but your persistence has been since. So how can I act like you ain't even there, like you never cared?
If we crank this, you can hear how it really bites into the beat.
Never cared, I'm well aware, so how can I front like all of me is what you want?
Way too much. Okay.
I'm keeping it nonchalant, so how can I show the world?
We just want to do a little bit right around here. And so that's just kind of punching a hole for us. So the beat now has a spot for the vocals to fit in. And now what we're going to do is try to reinforce the low end, make it punch more. I feel like it needs a little bit more dynamics. Like when that kick drum's hitting, I want it to like slam that sub a little bit more. And then we also need to tame those high frequencies. So we're going to use Anthony's favorite plugin of all time, Soothe, to tackle that. What's going on, Pete? Good to see you, homie. All right, let's jump back in. Okay. So let me pull that beat back up. Okay. So I'm just gonna mute the vocals for a little bit. We got to deal with this breathing thing that's going on. So for us to take care of that swelling from the beat, I just want to dial it back a tiny bit so it's a little bit more consistent so that the listener doesn't get like seasick, you know what I mean? And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to use an optical compressor, which is like a slower style compressor, just to kind of ebb and flow with the beat, and it's going to just squeeze and tighten up the beat to make it a little bit more consistent for us. So check this out. Let's dial this in. Okay, this is without anything. If we really crank down into it, see, it's a lot more consistent, but you're losing that vibe, right? So let's dial it back.
I love myself, family, friends, my wife, life, because it's so lovely.
Gotta mute those dubs. Here we go. All right, let me just clamp down a little bit more. Yeah, like right around here. We still have that movement. It's feeling right. Okay. All right, cool. Let me see if I can just move this thing up and then maybe I'll reappear. No. Am I reappearing? Look at that. I did it. Oh no, I blew it. Just kidding. Let's see. Window. I know I can do this, guys. I know I can do this. Still can't see it. I just really want to be able to I guess I'm never going to be able to just hang out in here with you guys. Shucks. Well, let me try one more trick. Let me try one more. Bear with me. It'll be worth it, I promise. I promise. Like capture. Add it to this one. Okay. Now I think I can make this work. Look at that. Can we see Trackspacer? Boom. We did it. Cheers. Awesome. That's great. Okay, now I don't have to keep switching between my big old face and then the session. Awesome, man. All right. So now we have the beat. It's a little bit more controlled. We've dug out a space for everything. And now what we're going to do is try to reinforce that low end. I want it to punch a little bit harder. Okay. So let's see what we're going to do. I chose to do use Max Bass. It's a plugin by Waves. Basically what it does is it looks at the low end frequency information and then adds harmonics onto it. So like I said, it was missing the warmth. This is the plugin to use for that. Because what it's going to do is it's going to find that sub information from the kick drum and then send it up to higher frequencies and can kind of fill out that missing low end, okay? So I'm just going to put this on the max bass setting so you can hear what it's doing to the music, okay? We're going to hear only what we're adding to the song, okay? So if we listen to the original bass, this is all we have. right? It's just this really low sub bass. You guys probably can't even hear it. There's not much here. And then this plugin is adding all of this information. You can hear it. It's real. There's this punchiness to it now. And the reason this is important is because now on your phone, you're going to be able to hear and feel that kick drum. On a laptop, on some crappy earbuds, you can be able to hear and feel everything, okay? You don't need a sub anymore. So let's hear what it does to the song when we bring this back in. Feel how much more bass there is? Okay, I'm going to bypass it. It'll turn yellow. That's without it. And with it. It like literally just instantly warmed it up. Like seriously. Quindon, what's up, my man? Good to see you. Welcome to the live stream show that I do weekly. And if you ever send me more music, man, I'll showcase you on here. All right, let's keep it cruising along. Time for Anthony's favorite plugin. Here we go. Soothe, baby. All right, let me talk about this. I might not need to. Everybody's probably heard me talk about this a billion times. This plugin is amazing. That's all I have to say. And for a track like this where we have some harsh, like airy vocals and like an occasional hi-hat that just jumps out because of that movement, this thing is going to grab onto it and bring it down in the mix. So let me just show you what it's doing. Go to the delta. So now we're listening to what it's taking out of the audio, okay? So it's going to literally hunt through the audio, find these ringing resonant frequencies, and then we're going to remove them selectively. And it's adaptive and it changes depending on the content of the music. Hands down, like best plugin purchase I've ever made. No doubt in my mind, okay? Some things that I like to do to set this up right. I'm a big fan of the attack. Okay, like I like to make it a little bit slower. That way we still get, like, if there's a hi-hat or like if it's an articulation, like a sharp transient, it's gonna let that go through, and then it's gonna pull down the harshness. So we still maintain this delicate, articulate beat, but the harshness gets sucked out of it. Okay, so let's put in delta, and we're just gonna hunt. We're basically trying to make the sound as bad as possible. These different bands here, let me just save this so that if I mess it up, we can go back quickly. These different bands allow us to boost in certain areas, but that is all in the plugin. We're not going to really hear any of this boost. It's just telling the detection circuit, hey, at 2.6K or whatever this is at, these frequencies are louder. If they go beyond the depth that we set, remove any harsh ringing stuff from this region. So that's important because we can narrow in on certain frequencies. Like if we have like a really bright voice, we can just put it right here. And then if we don't want to have it mess with like a snare drum or something, we can cut where the snare drum is so that we're not taking away from the snare drum if we were trying to kill the airiness from that voice or something, okay? So this is super powerful, okay? Let's see what we can remove, and let's just move this around. And again, the goal is to make it sound as terrible as possible and as non-musical as possible. That's the other key, okay? We don't want to take any musicality away. We just want to clean it up, okay? So you can hear that the airiness of the voice is just like, it's not musical, right? It's just like, it's so bright. Jeremy said it's a Mary J. Blige sample. That's awesome. I thought it sounded familiar. That's amazing. Cool. So right here. That sounds pretty good to me, okay? So let's bring it back. Now we're going to listen to the song, and then we can adjust this knob to suck out all those harsh ringing tones from the beat, okay? So let's just hit go and dial it back. A little bit more. See, we still have the articulation, And then also by softening the top end a lot, it gives the perception that the track is warmer. Okay, so like I'm reading this book actually right now on mastering, and it talks about the yin and yang of audio, and our brains can be so easily fooled by doing complementary moves. So if you want to make something sound warmer, you can either increase the volume of the warm frequencies, or you can decrease the bright, harsh frequencies that are tricking our brain into thinking the track is not warm sounding. And so by adding that max bass plugin, giving it a little bit more punch in those low frequencies, and then attenuating selectively the high end that's kind of brittle and harsh, we're doing two different things to warm the track up, but they're both not super dramatic. So it's a lot more transparent than if we were to go and take an EQ and just slam it into the mix somewhere to make everything sound warmer. Okay? So pretty cool trick, man. Let's keep moving along. All right. So some things that I want to do now. Let's do a little bit of EQ. So just like I said, it's funny that I had just brought this up because this EQ move I'm doing right here is exactly what I was just talking about. So this is decreasing the highs a little bit more and then boosting up the low frequencies. Okay, so it's doing this complementary thing where we're not taking too much away from either side, and it just makes it smoother sounding. Okay, so let me just dial this back a tiny bit, and then let me show you what it sounds like before and after. So this is without anything in. With it in. Put that out. So it sounds... It just like with this tilt EQ in, it just gives it the right balance in my opinion. Now those hi-hats are a little bit they're slightly on the dull side, but the way I master, I always kind of raise it up a little bit so I know it's going to sound just right when we get to the mastering stage. But now we have a really, really nice balance in this beat. Let's listen before and after, okay, ready? This is after all that stuff. Before. After everything added. So it just really cleaned up that top end, and it just gave that track that much more warmth, okay? And then I have one more thing I want to do just to kind of regulate any craziness that might happen as the track evolves and as the song progresses, and that's just using a multi-band EQ. What we're going to do is some upward expansion in the low end on that kick drum, that sub frequency, and then we're going to do a little bit of compression in the low mids or the high bass region, just to kind of gel the warmth region a little bit. And then I just want to have a band at the high frequency range just to catch any of the sharp frequencies that might jump out at us. Okay, but the big thing that this is going to do for us is this upward expansion trick really is going to give that kick drum a lot of power, and it's going to give us a lot more dynamics back into the track. It's an awesome trick. I don't see a lot of people talking about this at all online, and it's something that everybody who's mixing beats or making music in a studio should know about. So let me just show you how this works. So we have this band, and basically we're putting it into an expansion mode, so not compression, expand, and then you push the range up. So when the kick drum hits, we have it targeting this frequency range, so I changed it from band to free mode. So let me show you why I picked this spot. So when that kick drum hits, sorry, I have to bring this back in. You can see, here, I'll make this nice and big for you guys. Here we go. All right, so check this out. So every time that kick drum hits, there's a little bump in the frequency right here. See? Okay, so we want to target that frequency. Okay, so we set the threshold so that only when that kick drum hits, this is going to be triggered. And what it does is it raises the volume for a defined amount of time, which is dictated by this release knob. Okay, so if we want it to hold the volume longer, we have a longer release. If we want it just to jump up and come back down, then we have a faster release. And I actually have a YouTube video on this, so if you guys are interested in this, it's called something like "Stop Using EQ, You're Messing Stuff Up" or something like that. But basically, this is like instant control over if you want a tight, punchy kick drum, or if you want a long, boomy, like if you want to move a lot of air with your kick drums, right? Or your 808s or whatever you want to do. You use an expander and then you dial in the release to time it to how, to the song. Okay? Like, notice how much more powerful that kick drum just became from that one trick. Without it, with it. So we're getting like a thumping beat now. So now we're setting ourselves up for success, in my opinion. So that is like, we are dialed in now with this beat. Now we should jump on to the vocals, because I have a really cool trick to show you guys if you stick around for the ad-libs, for cleaning up, if it's not, if the ad-libs are, like I said, like Jeremy like says his ad-libs the whole time, and then he just like says them louder when he wants to emphasize certain words. And I'll show you a trick to clean those up quickly so you don't have to spend time deleting out all the little spaces between all the words. Okay. All right, so let's bring in the vocals. This is Noah. So let's listen to where he's sitting in the mix. Let's get this beat going.
You leave the 99 and come after me, that overwhelming, never failing, reckless love of my G.O.D. on adoration. Yes, your praises I sing, you're above and before anyone else, so I give myself to the degree I am, I be, yours to 12, I share my flesh.
Okay, so some things right away I notice. I want the vocals to sound more modern. So to me, right now, the vocals sound, I mean, they're recorded well, and there's dynamics in the vocals. So the few things I want to do are, I want to really glue and solidify the vocal performance. So I want to do some compression and really nail and tighten up the performance so that every single word is heard, okay? And I also want to add a little bit of air to the vocal to make it sound a little bit more modern. And I think that's going to help situate it and balance it in a way that it's going to fit into this beat more. The beat is already pretty bright, even though we went and did all that stuff to clean up the low end or the top end of it. So to compete with that, we need to, in my opinion, we got to overemphasize the airiness of the vocal just a little bit more. Okay, so I have a few tricks for that. So let's start there. Let's start with getting the vocal to sound airy and bright and consistent, and then also tighten up those low mids in the vocal that can kind of jump out on certain words, or if you back away from the mic a little bit too far, you lose that proximity effect. I just want to set something up so that it's tight and consistent, okay? All right, so let's jump in. And the way I always do this is with Wave C6. I don't know why. You can do this with any multiband compressor, but this thing just always worked for me, and so I stick to it, man. It just sounds right. So just to kind of show you what's going on, we have basically we're boosting everything from about 100 hertz up. Okay, so we're raising the low frequencies. We're raising the presence band like from 3K to 6 or 7K, and then we're really boosting up the air frequencies above like 10K. Okay, and the reason we're boosting everything is because we're gonna raise it and then we're gonna clamp down on it. And what that's gonna do, that's gonna give us the control we want on this vocal. So let me play this back and show you how it sounds.
And come after me, that overwhelming, never failing, reckless love of my G.O.D.
Without it,
on adoration, yes, your praises I sing, you're above and before anyone else, so I give myself to the degree I am, I be.
But you hear how instantly the vocals are now modern sounding, right? We have a little bit of that airiness to the voice. The vocals always sound full now.
Yes, your praises are saying you're above and before anyone else.
So again, the secret to this is we're raising all these frequencies and then we're adjusting this threshold
so I give myself to
bite in
degree
to the vocal.
I be a yours to 12. I share my flesh for holy. So how can I give you more as to hence thus therefore I...
Cool. But we have to be careful because if we're too aggressive in this presence region or the air region, we can introduce a lisp into the vocal performance. So I always tend to dial this back, be a little bit more conservative, and if it still sounds like we're too bright, then I'll dial the gain back and just turn the volume up instead of trying to overhype the top end.
Therefore I die daily and respond to explore. How can I spend more time with you? That quiet time.
Okay, cool. I mean, it sounded pretty good right now. I am gonna dial this back. I just have this on here just to get the vocals loud enough so you can hear it over the beat. I don't plan on using this later on.
Time with you and I'm alone with you is what you proclaim true. Because of you is why I'm even in existence. For 1 minute was distance, but your persistence has been since. So how can...
Okay, so let's go back to the vocals. So I think right now we're getting close to like a good tonality that's vibing with the beat. Now I want to make the performance consistent. Okay, so we're gonna compress the vocals, and since this is more like rhythmic driven vocals, right? There's a very specific beat and pattern and rhythm to the vocals. I want to use something that is going to help articulate all the emphasis. And so what I tend to use for something like that is an 1176 compressor. Okay. So super fast release, have this thing maxed out. And I like that because it gives the impression that the vocalist is pulled closer to the listener. Okay. If you do a slow release, it sounds like you're pushing them back. So if they're too close, yeah, we'll dial this back, but I think we want it as fast as we can possibly go. Okay. So let me turn this on so you guys can hear what it's doing.
That overwhelming, never failing, reckless love of my G.O.D.
Without it.
Adoration, yes, your praises are saying you're above and before anyone else. So I give myself to the degree I am. I be a yours to 12. I share my flesh for holy.
Without
so how can I give you more as to hence thus therefore I die daily and respond to explore.
So you can really hear. So let's play with this attack. I think we can actually dial it back a little bit more so that his emphasis can cut through more.
How can I spend more time with you? That quiet time with you and I'm alone with you is what you proclaim true. Because of you is why I'm even in existence. For 1 minute.
Right around here is like a sweet spot. So I'm just going to go back again. This is just in here temporarily just to raise that volume so you guys can hear it with like the right volumes.
On adoration, yes, your praises.
It's adding a little bit of distortion to it because we're compressing the signal, but we need it there just for the sake of the live stream.
Praises are saying you're above and before anyone else, so I give myself to the degree I am. I be a yours to 12. I share my...
All right, cool. So the vocals are getting close. They're sounding more modern. I want more modern. I want a little bit more saturation. I want a little bit more fullness and thickness out of them. And so I actually chose to use something I usually don't use. And this is a Sound Toys rack. So this is a bunch of different stuff all in one because I'm a huge fan. If I need to add like flavor or vibe to something, like Sound Toys plugins they just have this vibe to them. I don't know. They're whoever programs their stuff is pretty awesome. So I'm using a little bit of distortion on the vocal. This thing, it's called Decapitator. It can be way over the top if you want it to be. If you don't want it to be, you can use it like in this instance by taking the mix knob and cranking it way down so there's just a tiny bit in there. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I just wanted to add a little bit of fuzz and thickness and like emotion, I guess, is the best term. And then we have this EQ. This thing it sounds really nice. I actually want to look under the hood a little bit. I have plugins that I can go and do some analysis to see how they work, but it just has a cool curve to it that complements vocals and air really, really, really nicely. And it also has a drive circuit, which gives it a little bit more saturation, so fullness. So I'll show you what that sounds like when we bring that in. And then I'm adding just a little bit of this echo, kind of like a filtered echo thing on the left and right sides, just to give it a little bit of width and make it feel a little bit bigger than life. So let me just bypass all this, and I'm going to show you what all these things do when you add them in. And it's pretty remarkable. It just gives the vocals this awesome flavor. It's like some magic sauce that goes on the vocals. All right, so when this turns green, it's in.
Therefore I die daily and respond to explore. How can I spend more time with you? That quiet time with you when I'm alone with you is what you proclaim true. Because
so you might be thinking like, I can't hear anything, but check it out. I'm gonna turn this up so you can hear what it's actually doing, and then you'll notice how it's just gently coloring it.
Because of you is why I'm even in existence. For 1 minute was distance, but your persistence has been since. So how can
right, that's
I act
way
like
too
you
much.
Ain't even there, like you never cared? I'm well aware. So how can I front like all of me?
Just a tiny bit. It's just there. And when we get to the mastering stage, when we start gelling everything together, that little bit of dirt and grit in there is going to really make these vocals pop. It's all about like very small nuanced details. And you do a bunch of these and stack them, and then everything just comes alive when you get to the mastering stage. All right, let me show you what this EQ's doing.
Me is what you want. These fake lovers can talk on keeping it nonchalant. So how can I show the world I'm devoted to
Without
my
it.
first love? So true, so real. I can't love somebody else as much as I do you. You're the breath in my lungs. Each one I
Like, he just went from rapping under a comforter to right up in front, your front row on the stage looking at him, and Noah's just right there in your face. Like, this, I love this EQ, man. But sometimes it can sound too harsh. But the way these vocals were recorded, it was done right, man. They're not super hyped in the high end. The performance was good. It's clean. So all these tricks work really, really well for everything. All right, so then I added a little bit of this like echo. So let me show you what that sounds like.
each one I take is for you, and that's trill. Let's get it.
Just kidding, Noah stopped rapping. All right, here we
Leave
go.
the 99 and come after me. That overwhelming, never failing, reckless love of my G.O.D. on adoration. Yes, your praises I sing. You're above and before anyone
All right,
else.
so let me
I give
dial this
myself
up.
to the degree I am. I'm flesh for holy. So how can I give you more as to?
Right, so it's like a weird like slap echo thing that's on the sides. It sounds crazy by like if you turn it up this loud, right? But if you just tuck it in so no one knows it's there, it makes the vocals sound huge.
Respond to explore. How can I spend more time with you? That quiet time with you when I'm alone with you is what you proclaim true. Because of you is why I'm even in existence.
Right there. That's how you do it. That's the secret right there. All right. 2 more steps on this vocal, and then I'll get to those ad-libs, and then we're going to wrap it up. So, because that EQ like made these vocals super bright and articulate, perfect, but there are some spots now that get too bright.
Yes, your praises are saying you're above and before anyone else, so I give myself.
Right there, like on the S's, we want to dial that back a tiny bit, so we're going to use a de-esser on that, okay? So I'm just going to adjust this threshold so it just grabs on to when he has any of those S sounds and it'll pull them back for us.
Me, that overwhelming, never failing, reckless love of my G.O.D. on adoration. Yes, your praises are saying you're above and before anyone else, so I give myself to
right there.
Degree I am, I be yours to 12. I share my flesh for whole.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this limiter on here because I can finally use this limiter to raise the volume up. And then the levels should be good to go from here on out. Okay, so typically on my vocal bus, I usually put a limiter on it. And at least in terms of like hip hop or pop music or rock or anything like that, because what ends up happening is you still tend to get some like deviations in the vocal, and what we really want to do is make sure that every single word, every breath, like all the little articulate pieces of the vocal are heard. And what I find is the most transparent way to do that is actually to use like a limiter that's not going too crazy, okay? We just want it there to just lop off and like pin down anything that's jumping out, and then it'll give us more room to bring up those low nuances of the vocal performance. So that's, man, I always put a limiter on the end, just so that we can raise up that level. So check this out. This is what it's going to sound like when we put it on.
So how can I give you more as to hence thus therefore I die daily and respond to explore? How can I spend more time with you? That quiet time with you when I'm alone with you is what you proclaim true. Because of you is why I'm even in.
Perfect. There it is. The only other thing I can think to do, let's see. I have some general things, so I'm gonna get into this right away. I'll just do this quickly. So I always have a few plugins I like to use to make the vocal sound larger than life. One of them again is Sound Toys, so it's called Micro Shift. Okay, so it's this guy. This is just a chorus. Essentially, it's a chorus plugin. So I set up as a send, and we just feed it with a little bit of the vocal just to widen it out. I don't even know if you'll notice it, but I'll push it up so it's way too loud and you'll hear what the effect is doing.
After me, that overwhelming, never failing, reckless love of my G.O.D. on adoration. Yes, your praises I sing. You're above and before anyone else, so I give myself to the...
All right, 1 second.
I share my flesh for holy.
There we go. That's what it's doing.
For holy, so how can
so without
I
it,
give you more as to
with it.
hence thus therefore I die daily and respond to explore how.
Okay, so never, unless it's a very stylistic choice, would you ever have it this loud. Okay, I have it super quiet. So let me just dial it back. And when it's not in, it feels like the vocals are just missing something. But when it's in, you're not going to be like, oh, that's a chorus effect that you have on there, right? We just want it, it's very subtle. Okay.
How can I spend more time with you? That quiet time
Okay,
with
so we're
you
gonna
when
dial
I'm
back.
alone with you is what you proclaim true. Because
Still
of you
too
is
loud.
why I'm even in existence. For 1 minute was dances.
Still
but
too
your
loud.
persistence has been since. So how can I act like you ain't even there? Like you
Right
never
there.
cared? I'm well aware.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that all we're doing is it's literally just making the vocal sound a little bit wider. Okay. All right. Let's. Oh, I probably should have switched it back for you guys. So there you go. You had a nice view of my face while I was dialing that in. I'm sure I had a good expression. Okay. Next thing, I want to give the vocals a little bit of sense of space. They're very dry, which for hip hop it works a lot of times. But my personal style and the vibe of this track, I feel like we need a little bit of space in there. Okay.
You leave the 99 and come after me.
Right. It's super dry. Okay. So I'm adding a little bit of plate reverb.
Me that overwhelming, never failing.
Let me show you what that sounds like.
Feeling reckless love of my G.O.D. on adoration. Yes, your praises I sing.
So it's that.
So I give myself to the degree.
Okay,
I
too
am,
much,
I'll be
too
a
much,
yours to
too
12. I
much.
share my flesh for holy.
Too
So
much.
how can I give you more as to
Right there. That's it. It's just a tiny bit.
as to
Okay.
hence thus therefore I die daily.
I also have this crazy delay.
Daily and respond to explore. How can I spend more time with you? That quiet time with you and I was what you proclaim true. Because
There it is. Okay.
for 1 minute was but your persistence has been.
Again, sounds crazy, but you dial that back and it's just like the secret sauce that's under the vocal.
So how can I act like you ain't even there? Like you never cared? I'm well aware. So
You can kind of hear it as when we stop and it trails off. And then I just have another very quiet reverb, okay? Nothing special, nothing fancy, all right? And then collectively, this is what the vocal sounds like. So let me just pull this, let me unmute everything for you guys. So here's the vocal.
you leave the 99 and come after me. That overwhelming, never failing, reckless love of my G.O.D. on adoration. Yes, your praises I sing. You're above and before anyone else. So
Man, that sounds money, right? Let's listen to it before, okay? This is how it came in.
now, so I give myself to the degree.
So I had to bring this limiter back in so you guys can hear it.
Degree I am, I be a yours to 12. I share my flesh for holy. So how can I give you more as to hence thus therefore I
Okay.
die daily.
And then if we bring everything back in one more time.
I daily and respond to explore. How can I spend more time with you? That quiet
Just super articulate, consistent, and then it sounds so much bigger than the original vocals. Okay, let's bring that beat back.
That quiet time with you when I'm alone with you is what you proclaim true. Because of you is why I'm even in existence. For 1 minute was distance, but your persistence has been since. So how can I act like you ain't even there?
Amazing.
Like you never cared. I'm well aware. So how can I front like?
There it is. That's how you get a vocal to sit in with like a premixed beat that you can't control the different elements. Man, pretty awesome. Let's see. So let me jump ahead because I promised that I would show you guys a cool trick because we're getting close to 9 o'clock, which is when I'm cutting everything off. But let's just jump ahead. So when we have something like how Jeremy does his dubs, where you can hear the vocal going underneath, what we can do is there's a few ways to do it. One, you can use a gate, like a noise gate, which I did use. Okay, so we're gonna turn this on. Let me show you what this looks like. Okay, so we're gonna set this threshold so that when the words that he wants to emphasize come in, they jump in and they don't sound like they're behind. Okay, and then the words that we don't want in are gone. So we just dial this back. So this is, the gate is set to quiet because we can hear all the little mouth noises and things. So let's keep pushing this up. So right here is a good spot. I always like to dial it back a tiny bit because we don't want to miss any words, right? I'd rather have a little bit of like the mouth noise coming in instead of just like noise gating it. But here's my secret weapon. It's FabFilter again. So we can pull this up. This is with FabFilter Pro MB. So again, it's that multi-band compressor, the same exact one that I used previously to help give the beat a little bit more kick. We can set this up in expand mode again. But instead of pushing the range up, we push the range down, okay? So what does that mean? That means that unless this threshold is hit, it's going to turn everything down always, okay? So it's basically like a noise gate. But the nice thing about this is a frequency-specific noise gate, okay? At least the way we're setting this up. So you want the attack to be as fast as possible so that as soon as any noise gets above this threshold, it's going to go back up to 0. So it's going to raise the gain so that you can hear what he's saying on those words that he's emphasizing. And then I set the release a little bit slower just to smooth out, the sound of it. Okay? So, but by doing this, we can dial in the high frequencies that are most noticeable from this happening. And then we don't mess with the low end at all. So we still get a lot of intelligibility from the adlibs, from the low frequencies coming through. But then we don't notice it in the mix because we're attenuating the high frequencies selectively that we tend to hear. Okay, so it's a pretty cool trick. Let me show you what it sounds like when you use it.
I love myself, family, friends, my wife, life, 'cause it's so lovely. Grown to see.
So you can hear it. It's actually helping the articulation. It's helping the emphasis because what I actually did was put a 2.5 dB boost on it. So anytime those emphasis words are coming through, it's actually boosting the signal in this high frequency range. So it's like he's jumping in even harder than he was before. And you can see that we're not really noticing or hearing any of those mouth noises before, or any of the words that he was saying underneath. So like here's before.
So lovely, grown to see the reason that I'm even able to love's only because you first loved me.
Right, we put this in.
Explore like ocean floor I never seen, feel it's real.
And it just cleans it up and it makes it sound awesome. Okay, so let me just show you what it sounds like with it in. Just unmute everybody.
I I love myself, love my family, love my friends, love my wife, love my life, cause it's so lovely. But now I've grown to see the only reason that I'm even able to love's only because you first loved me. A love so deep, it's unexplainable.
See that? You don't hear any of those other nuances. You just hear the emphasis, and it's punchy, it's on time, it's helped to reinforce that flow that Jeremy has. Oh, it's awesome, man. I love that trick. The only other thing that I did that I didn't talk about because we're running out of time is the threshold. So I just dialed this back. Again, I want to make sure that the emphasis words are consistent. So you can see here, we're just taking off any of the emphasis words that are hopping in way a little bit too hot, making them consistent so nothing really jumps out. And then I'm just de-essing the vocal tiny bit. So you can see, it just, only those S's are being caught, okay? We don't want to give Jerm a lisp or anything. And that's basically it, man. I mean, that's the recipe right there. And then at this point, you pull it in, you do mastering on it, and everything's going to gel together and come to life. We just don't have time to get into that tonight, unfortunately. I'd love to do that. But it's just not going to happen, unfortunately. So let's do a quick little before and after. I'm just going to play the song with it mixed how we have it. And then I'll bypass everything for you guys so you can hear it without any of the plugins and see how far we came tonight. So here we go.
You leave the 99 and come after me. That overwhelming, never failing, reckless love of my G.O.D. on adoration. Yes, your praises I sing. You're above and before anyone else. So I give myself to the degree I am. I be a yours to 12. I share my flesh for holy. So how can I give you more as to hence thus? Therefore I die daily and respond to explore. How can I spend more time with you? That quiet time with you and I'm alone with you is what you proclaim true. Because of you is why I'm even in existence. For 1 minute was this, but your persistence has been since. So how can...
All right, let's jump to Jeremy's verse, and then we're gonna do one more time with the original track.
Love myself, love my family, love my friends, love my wife, love my life, cause it's so lovely. But now I've grown to see the only reason that I'm even able to love's only because you first loved me. A love so deep, it's unexplored like parts of the ocean floor I never seen but still feel is real. And you're taking me to uncharted depths every time I say yes, making everything concealed reveal.
Woo! Man, these guys are awesome. They're so talented, I swear. All right, let me bypass this so you guys can see where we started, and I think you'll notice right away that we're going to lose a lot of articulation on the vocal. We're going to have the beat that sounds a little bit on the harsh side, and it's just in general going to sound disconnected and not modern. Okay, so here we go.
G.O.D. on adoration, yes, your praises I sing. You're above and before anyone else, so I give myself to the degree I am. I be a yours to 12. I share my flesh for holy. So how can I give you more as to hence thus? Therefore I die daily and respond to explore.
So you can really hear like those hi-hats and the airiness in the vocal are just like kind of piercing on the beat, and the movement is a little bit too much where it's almost a little bit distracting from the vocal, and the vocal just sounds a little bit distant and not articulate, and it's kind of hard to understand all the words. Okay, let's hop to Jeremy's verse.
I love myself, love my family, love my friends, love my wife, love my life, cause it's so lovely. But now I've grown to see the only reason that I'm even able to love's only because you first loved me. A love so deep, it's unexplored like parts of the ocean floor I never seen but still feel is real. And you're taking me to uncharted depths every time I say yes, making everything concealed reveal. And it's your love that's the...
So there you go. Hope you guys got something out of the live stream today. I'm going to get this mixed down, sent over to Jeremy and Noah to check out to see what they think. And with that, I just want to wrap this live show up. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for an hour on a Thursday night. I do this every single Thursday, 8 p.m. We got all the kinks worked out from the last few weeks. We're good to go now, and I'm excited to share with you some more tips and tricks for making your music sound awesome next week as well. If you liked this, you should check out some of my YouTube videos. I have a YouTube channel. It's you just search for Raytown Productions. You should be able to find it. And I also run a Facebook group called the Home Studio Fast Track. We have like close to 300 members in there, and it's growing every single day. And it's a cool community because we have people from all different that have small home studios or work in large commercial facilities, or even are members of the AES, which is the Audio Engineering Society. So there's people from all walks of life, and everybody's learning from everybody, and you should join. That's on Facebook. It's called the Home Studio Fast Track. It's pretty awesome. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Wish you guys a good night. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week, hopefully, right here, 8 p.m. Eastern, and on my Facebook page, and also the Raytown Productions page. So until next time, see you guys later.